All right, 3:30 Eastern here, letting everybody pile in. Trade ideas, late day Q&A. I think we got our windows looking good here. For anybody that's new, that's coming into the stream here, it's an open forum Q&A for trade ideas. So if you're a subscriber, you've got some kind of question you need answered about a scan or a top list, a single stock window, the AI, brokerage plus, any of those things are fair game, of course. Anybody that is just interested in trade ideas, looking to kick the tires, learn a little more about the software as well, fair game. Any and all questions related to trade ideas, or I'll say trading in general. My knowledge in trading is limited to stocks, no fancy option questions or anything like that. So Timothy, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Happy, what's today? Tuesday, right? Still Tuesday? Thank God, still Tuesday. All right. So give people a chance to come on in here, and hopefully there'll be a few questions. For this stream, Timothy, just YouTube. That's it. That's it for us. Barry broadcast his trading room from two sides. YouTube is one, and then there's the trading room from I guess there are web pages where you'd log in. So I don't know if you have a trading room login. Same stream for him. He just gives up the YouTube stream at noon Eastern each day for an hour for Q&A. Gotcha. Okay, I'll drop you. Here's you don't need a subscription for the trading room. Let me find a link for you. Somewhere in here, trading room, sign up. There we go. So you can go ahead and sign up to the trading room through that link now, and anybody can. Like I said, Barry runs the stream from two sides during the day. That link that I just dropped you there, he actually opens that up now, if I'm not mistaken, at 9 o'clock in the morning each day. Excuse me, 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern each day. I don't think he starts the YouTube stream till 9 still. So he's giving people a chance to come in and talk amongst themselves or chat amongst themselves, whatever, in the different questions panels that are within that trader's room there. It's the same stream as this, just I don't run on that side where he runs it at all. And like I said, at noon Eastern, he gives up this side of the stream each day for a Q&A that's similar to what I'm doing here. But he never gives up the stream in that trader's room where I just dropped that link. He takes a break from about 12 to 12:30, so there's nobody on the mic at that time. Sorry, just catching up on some internal chatter that's going on here. Something with the races here as we're getting ready to do a little more with the races. That channel's getting ready to be launched. I think some of you, depending on the version of the software you're running, can see that channel. Just nothing is happening in that channel yet. Just the coming soon feature as we're building out a layout for that. So, all right. So I see people coming in and coming out. Like I said, I always say I never know how many people are actually in this stream. It's an open forum Q&A. I like you guys to drive the content with your questions and engagements and interactions. I don't come with anything pre-done here. It should be turtles, not race cars. Oh, I had a joke about it earlier in our one of our threads here about being horses. Um, 150 years ago or 100 years ago, I guess is better. better time frame. 100 years ago, it was the people with less money owned horses and more money owned cars, and now it's the other way around. People with the most money own horses and the least money own cars. So it was kind of a internal running joke that I started here. I don't know how well received that was, of course, but anyways, that's that. So, all right, no real questions coming. Yeah, it's a sleepy market, perfect circle. You got Fed meetings today and tomorrow, apparently. I was teasing, right around here. I just happened to notice this was happening. And I said, oh, the Fed meeting must be going well. And obviously, I mean, I don't even know if it has anything to do with the Fed other than, we're just in this range right now. And the range I don't think is going to be broken without any significant quote unquote news or guidance or whatever you want to call it. But, here we go. Range, home on the range, we've got a range within a range. We have this range that happened here. We broke it for a while, dropped right back in it, popped right back out of it. And now, we started to head back down towards it. And I don't know, hockey term, kick saving a beauty, for whatever that's worth. So I don't see us breaking this major range for a while. And, people talk about, oh, we're overdue for correction and blah, 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 blah. The IWM, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, went negative for the year IWM. So it's an entire lost year on the IWM, basically. And while, we are up near all-time highs on the indexes, you start to look at individual stocks and you start to look at things that are more evenly weighted, when we're not there. In those. So anyways, there's data to satisfy every narrative, whatever that narrative you want it to be as far as stocks go. So always fun. And, it also comes to data interpretation. How do you want to interpret that data? So, all right, we're a quiet bunch so far. I didn't talk about the AI yesterday. I can't even remember what the AI did yesterday, but let's look at today, like the market, kind of an odd day from the AI. So, you had a few things that were really weird. Obviously, anybody that has position sizing in this window based on the stop loss might have seen this. There's something that was bugged on an internal code that caused that today. So, aggressive profit is not up $3.7 billion today, unfortunately. If it was, then probably we would give everybody free year of TI. With that said, that was a result of this here and the entry price and the stop price being linked together somehow in the coding logic behind it. I won't pretend that I understand most of what was explained to me today, other than it happened and it's being fixed. But to just go back and look at that as a trade and not highlight any of the nonsense that happened there, unfortunately. We're looking at something that gapped way up here after just being completely beaten down for months and months and months and months. Yes, exactly. Blame it on divide by zero. I suspect that actually is something that went on without really knowing what went on. Like I said, I won't pretend to know the back end of those things. But it was actually a thought that passed my mind. But, back onto the alert, Terminex here, and there's a big gap up here. And I don't even know what, obviously it has to be some kind of news. I mean, doing 26 times its normal volume over the last 10 days. And just go chasing anything that's a gap like that at this point is kind of tough. Especially when you see all this overhead resistance above. And while, it still had some room to run to get, all the way up this, mountain or cliff or whatever you want to call it that it dropped off of, it just, beat up stock, to say the least. Take a wider look here, even going back further. So it doesn't look like they've actually been IPO'd that long, according to these charts here anyways. Interesting. Okay. So just, not a great alert, but it is what it is. Strong stock pulling back, and you can see why it entered here is, had a very strong gap, making it that strong stock, very strong volume, pulling back, got it, just didn't have it anymore. That's it. That's all there was to it. So, and someone might say, why are you going with the losers first? Because I like to keep things unbiased here. The AI has its winners and its losers. Some days I start with winners, some days I start with the losers. But I just don't want anybody to ever think we're promoting something that's a magic money machine, or the goose that laid the golden egg, anything like that. There's still work as a trader that has to be done, even with the AI behind it and its statistically weighted entries. Do you use a trailing stop? No. Well, all right. I won't say I don't use a trailing stop, but I don't put in hard stops ever, and I've never in my entire trading life of 4.5+ years now submitted a trailing stop. Only hard stops when I wasn't disciplined enough to obey my stops. Other than that, I don't really put in any stops anymore. I just I watch my positions. The only time I'll put in a stop is if I know I'm going to be gone from my desk for longer than, let's say, 15 or 20 minutes. And the reason why I go at lengths like that is, one, over the last year and a half since I really moved to more kind of the trading style that I have, I've maybe seen something blow through what would have been one of my stops 2 or 3 times out of hundreds of trades. Um, so I don't like to put hard stops in unless I really need to. So that's TMX. So just it never got going, regardless of this other stuff that happened with that alert. And same thing here with OLLI. Um, looked like it might want to try to make a reversal off the bottom here. Just real beat up. Got a floor that's coming in here maybe, and you know, big run down, big run up. Maybe he was setting up to push back through, and just kind of got trapped here at the recent resistance. That's all there is to it. And again, we don't have a market that's exactly helping us out. On top of this, I'd say there's no clear edge in the stock. And again, what do I mean by clear edge? Relative volume's pretty on par with what it's doing the last 10 days here after this earnings fallout. And 1.25 mil shares traded to this point in the day. So, liquid stock, just like I said, no clear edge for this to really be bouncing at this point other than overdone. But again, we talk in these Q&As about what's extended, what's overdone. You can watch things that you would have thought was extended for 2 or 3 days, continue on for another 2 or 3 days. And then the same thing, you look at something like this and you say, all right, well, you had this big gap down and, couldn't get back off it. And now it's fading the last couple days. It's due for a bounce. And just because something's due for something doesn't mean it's going to do it. Anyways, OLLI met the criteria of Gatto wants to go, just didn't want to go today. But we've also got a group of stocks here that did go at some point today. So VIR, we're approaching 2 mil shares traded today, so plenty of liquidity in it. Nothing notable on the volume here, but the chart is notable to me. You've got this big move up, a revision to the mean, if you will, and a nice kind of cradling effect here, horseshoe up-ish. But even my biased eye doesn't really go with that. But looking at the chart, we've got room to run to this upside here. We cleared yesterday. Fractal patterns within each other here on different time frames. And so ends up being a nice little alert from the AI today here, VIR. And so as a Gatto wants to go winner. So we had one winner, one loser from the same strategies that were there. And now Holly's making her timed exits on the day for conservative reasons. See that all flashing there. Let's jump MYGN. And so, here we go. We get the alert here. We punch down right after that alert. I don't think that's any major punch down after the alert. just pokes back below 25 before making its way back up, testing the entry level again. So giving us, a watch list for the day, the AI does. All right. Not exactly what I'd call liquid on the stock, but you certainly get in and out. And, we find support here on this entry level and going to the alerts high on the day, not the actual high on the day here. So perhaps something changing in the winds, we'll see. I mean, again, to beat down, so is it due? Once again, just because something due, just because it looks like something's due doesn't mean it's going to do it. But the AI found an edge in it today with on support. There's our on support. And again, that's what the AI was looking at. If I was to take a shot in the dark, what's under the hood of what I was looking at for that on support right there, and held true to the name basically. And last but not least, we'll cover this guy here, IMTX. This was a tough trader earlier in the day. There's a decent spread on it. There's, I'd say, in between a 10 and 15 cent spread at any given point. And this thing was whippy. It was all over the place, but found itself a nice little range here, never got stopped out, and went on to a decent win here afterwards. Not the most liquid of stocks, but still 850,000 shares traded today. Definitely had your volume edge in it, so there's lots of interest in it. I don't know if it was news, earnings is behind it, so unless there's something new for earnings that popped up out of nowhere, must have been some kind of news-driven catalyst. And as mentioned, you get a nice little range here after you get some whipped around here for a while, but you get a nice range. And so having it as just like I said, as a watch list with some of these things. And I think today illustrates a good way as a watch list that the ones that were never working never worked. And the ones that had a chance of working continue to give you entry points during the day as a watch list. So anyways, that's my short and skinny there. I see them, like I said, I always say the numbers coming up and down on who's in here watching, viewing. If you guys have questions, please fire them away. Open forum, anything software wise is, fair game. Most trading stuff is fair game. So do you use any of the scans on the Market Explorer and TI Strength? That one is popular one. I like it as well. I don't use anything else in the Market Explorer right now. Here's my Market Explorer window. I know Michael started work on a gap up and fade into the 10 SMA today. I think that's a Steve idea. I like that one from Steve too, because it's kind of something similar that I've tried to work on a little bit. I like, Steve always just has these kind of really great visuals on charts that have always just kind of clicked in my brain over the years. And so that gap one, that'll be one that something I look at a little more. But the 820 cross gappers, it's just, there's a lot of alerts that come through there, and it's too much for me to look at. It's too day trading centric for me with too many alerts. Bear and bull flags, I've never done well on a bull flag pattern, quite personally. And we pull it up here. And I don't look at it a ton. And I know Michael's not happy overall with some of the results from this. So, like here, I don't even know why this is on here. I mean, the only thing I could suspect why it's on here is this move here, and it's looking at this here. Interesting. So there's some math work to be done on these, because some days the alerts look better. I cruise through them, let's say once a week. I'll switch things around, on any given day during the week. And the same thing here, the 3-line strike. It just doesn't, the patterns aren't what I look for. That's more or less where the TI Strength just finds patterns that I really like. I have my personal trading plan, and the stuff that comes through some of these other alerts just really don't jive with that trading plan that I personally have. So I cruise through them, maybe not as much as other people do. Just a side note, when you're messing around and going through the server windows, just double check that you didn't get landed back on pin. For some reason, it auto pins when you go back to the original alert that you were looking at here on the TI strengths. And having pin windows can lead to one of those problems where you've got 30 windows open of the same scan and you didn't realize it. Gap fade SMA, that's a short scan. I think it's more of a bounce idea behind it, actually. Um, finding support where, especially lately, you're finding a lot of, a lot of stuff makes these run up and then it kind of pulls back into some support. So like here, I'll give you, some short-lived ones I was looking at today and never ended up pulling the trigger, but here's a nice example of it. On this 5-minute chart here, I was watching this morning. This moved right up, and I just lost track of it, and it pulled right back to this 8 EMA. And the 8 EMA and 10 SMA they're like second cousins, basically. And so it pulled right back in there, and then had a nice, nice push. It would have been a great day trade, to be honest, had I, had a little more attention on it. Definitely some time to get in there. There was a workable spread, plenty of liquidity. We can see had decent volume, all these things like that. This is something that came through my evening scan last night or this morning when I was checking. And what did I like about this? This nice base that's formed here. We've got a nice gap to try to fill here, and we're moving into that gap now, or at least trying to. So, anyways, that's what I was looking at there with that. And that's kind of the idea, I think, behind that scan. I suppose it could go either way, though. And, look at a few of the stocks that are coming through a scan like that and say, does this look like it's got room to pull back to the short side? Does it have weakness and just made that short term move up for the moment before it pulls back into its weakness? So that would be, it could cut both ways, I think, with that. We could even see it cut both ways here. We made that move up, we pulled back, made a nice move up for a day trade. And then as it faded the rest of the day, it would have also been an okay short from around here too, and on $10 stock, shorting it from 1050 and, covering somewhere in the 1020s. That's not a bad, not a bad short, actually. Plenty of liquidity. I don't imagine this was too tough to short. I'd imagine there's plenty of borrows on it. Let's see. What say you, Trader Workstation? Yep, plenty of borrows. So could really, again, like I always say, data interpretation. Two people could look at the exact same scan and see completely different things, and not one thing is actually different about the scan. I look for pullbacks into moving averages for support, and other people would look at the pullback into a moving average as a breakdown. So, and different moving averages for different time frames, and so on and so forth. All those things like that. So, again, if anybody has questions, fire them away here. Whether it's software pertained or there's a chart that you have a burning desire to look at. I'm, like I said, always say I'm no CMT at the moment, but throw my 2 cents in there. And just remember, I'm on a longer term time frame looking at charts. So speaking of charts, that was something that's been interest to me. I think it was Pamela brought this up the other day. I had said it had been showing up in my evening scan, but it just wasn't convincing me to really have any first look at it. But now, MDRX, take a look at it. I'm not looking to really get in anything at the moment, not with the market that's just the way it is, unless something has a real clear edge. And I've moved away from anything that doesn't have any real clear edge in volume at the moment. But why do I change my mind on this and take a second look at it? All right, here's a couple of reasons. When she had brought it up, it was back here and it had this one big day here, all right, to push into this resistance. And we can see that this line has been a magnet for price action for quite some time now. I didn't like the risk reward trying to buy it here, knowing that maybe my closest support is way down here and I'm going to have some resistance here. Now, there's a little more support that's established in this range, well off of this lower section down here of that range. And so I feel like that gives you a little better R being risk for that entry, risk reward entry. Looking at this chart now, am I taking a position in it? Nope. Do I think you should take a position in it? I have no idea. That's up to you. But just I like to illustrate, as the data comes in, how fast I'm willing to change my mind on any chart. Another chart, quick mind change here, LIT. Poor LIT is looking to give up its year's gains almost, so what do I mean? What do you mean by it's giving up its year gain? Here's what I mean. This is where LIT starts the year, okay? So here to here, and we topped out up here, and we're sitting here. Now, while we're still quite a bit of ways off, we've made a real fast move down here in the last 4+ weeks or so. And it won't take, but another couple of days of some hard selling to bring us right back down to here, having erased, more than half the year's gains at this point. That took us all this time, this swath to build all that up. So, it can happen just that fast. And for those that don't know, LIT, that's your lithium stocks, your battery tech for more or less EVs, but I guess cell phones could be lumped in there with that. What do we think of CNC, one of the strength alerts? Let's see here. CNC. I wouldn't go chasing it at this point, but that's a pretty darn strong chart. Has a lot of stuff that I like in it. So one, I like when I see this stuff on multiple time frames. All right. That was a nice boom right out of that one. That's there. We're taking out all-time highs. Things got great volume. Doing almost 4 times its normal volume coming into the close. 3.25 times, anyways. 3 3/4. I'm sorry. 9 mil shares traded today. Shorts are moving out. No short float anymore. So the shorts are not a believer in this one on the short side. So that's some pretty good stuff that's in there. It's a nice, if you're in it, obviously manage the risk. That's what I would say as far as that goes on that. For me personally, love, it's out of my price range, but again, talking about pulling back into a moving average, pull back into a moving average, maybe some sideways, slightly down consolidation before trying to make another move up. It's a strong chart, real strong chart right now. Like I said, a really nice, coming out of a really nice base, and then that base within a base and a much smaller time frame right here on the sharp pullback. Also, what's earnings? You got long time before earnings too. Those are all really good things. All right, yeah, whole number break and nice, solid through that. And again, we talk about what's extended. This thing could run for another day or two. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. When I say extended, for me, I'm looking at this 8 EMA. That's pretty fast moving average, and to see it just really start to pull away from that like that. That's what I'm referencing by extended. But again, we talk about extended, and we can watch things kind of defy that gravity much longer than we think they can. No real price target on it. I mean, other than I don't know, whatever's written in that welcome page. So new dot channel bar. Sorry, I just saw it loads on another page and I want to size it because the resolution on this screen is higher. Let's see what we wrote up about that here. CNC entry. Okay, so points of interest. So you got the entry that was discussed there. Nope, no real target. So, but here's the thing. So you're in blue sky right now. Also, you're sitting at all-time highs with this thing, as illustrated right here somewhere. Somehow I got switched back again. CNC. So took out all-time highs again today. So just at this point, it becomes a game of risk management. Maybe you take a third or half off. Sitting here almost a couple of bucks up from where you were. Sorry, some messaging coming in. I just want to stay in the know. Let's take a look at this here. UUP. Sorry, Michael said something about this. Interesting. Bullish fund. US dollar index. Dollar has been strong. Very interesting. Some nice moves through here. So again, that same kind of concept that I'm looking for, and within. I do like that actually. And know your stock's personality. It doesn't have an overly large range. All right. So understand your R on that, something like this, larger share sizes may be needed. And we're sitting almost at all-time highs again with that too. He gives you more work when it's slow. That's interesting. We get cut both ways by it, so we can always tell when if you didn't show me a chart of the market and just showed me all the emails and questions and comments that were coming in for a day, I could tell you if the market was up or down just by the emails that we got. So kind of funny how that happens like that. So again, like I always say, people coming in, coming out. If anybody has questions on here, fire them away for me. I started finally really starting to dig into the stock races today, and one spot I was getting tripped up, not realizing that the race won't start till 30 seconds into pressing play because it's topless and they refresh every 30 seconds. And so foolish me, not paying attention to the mechanics of the software. But I was messing around with one today, some thoughts that I had, trying to find strength in a real choppy market. And so I was looking at just a couple of things here, and I'll go over. I'm just rebuilding this fast. So looking for a position in 5-day range. And so those looking at stocks between $8 and $50, and I don't want that. So here we go. I was looking at stocks between $8 and $50 with a relative volume of at least three, traded 750,000 shares today. Price has got to be up from the previous day, and it's got to be 75% above the low of the 5-day range. And I was just messing around with that, just trying to find, look for strength in this market right now. And so, first off, one of the things that I noticed, the things that were coming through were ETFs that were bullish or bearish ETFs. Um, Not seeing those now. Interesting. Here comes Terminex. So who knows? Maybe that's something to watch in the next few days. But a couple of Holly alerts were on there today. I just found that to be kind of interesting. And I was playing around with this a little bit just as a stock race. Now we're not going to find anything, obviously, because the market close. It would have been better to do this beforehand. But I'm like everybody else trying to find some reasonable idea generation at this point in not the easiest of markets to find swing trading ideas. And here's something that's interesting. Now, I did not get this one earlier. That's nice. And within ourselves, sitting right at some resistance. But if it can make it up above that, go ahead and put that on my liked list. So while I'm finding strength in the short term here, long term, not so much. Kind of drew a trend line. Didn't even mean to do that. So, finding strength in this market right now is, easier said than done. This is just the same thing. I'm trying to pop off of some serious lows there. I was going to mess with this as a stock race, but that's not going to make sense. I didn't realize that the market had closed right up until I was just finishing building this out. So I'll just get rid of that. All right. I believe I have some questions about your trading desktop. First, love trade. Can you tell me if you use the same time frames when the market is open? No. When I have my evening scan layout, I look at weekly and daily charts. I just have a 15-minute chart. So if I'm setting any price alerts, I can zero in on the exact price I want on the 15-minute chart. During the day, I run these three charts that you see here to look at things a little more short-term, momentum-wise, as far as that goes. Just my personal preference on what I like to do with charts. That's all. No magic to it, but I like weekly charts when I'm scanning in the evening to try to find my setups. It's been slow going for me, like a lot of people. I'd mentioned some last week. It was an okay year for me trading. It was actually my best year trading this year, and you don't try to pile onto that in the last few weeks of the year, especially with what we've gotten for the choppiness in the markets right now. And that's, part of that's illustrated right here in my like symbol list. There's probably 5 or 6 stocks on my liked list that I could drop right now, but decided to leave them on in hopes that they'll make a return back up and bring back some interest in those stocks again. But high beta stocks are getting slaughtered. Low beta stocks have been the way to go. It's not what I'm usually looking at to trade, and so I'm kind of sitting on my hands at this point. My trading plan says you're sitting on your hands because nothing's really meeting your scans. Last week was it last week or the week before I got high and mighty back on LTHM again. All right. I took a position in it, and why would I get high and mighty on it? All right, well, we have this line that's here, this base. We tested it, boom, made a beautiful move out of it. We started to pull back. I thought, all right, we're going to find some support like we have several other times here on these big run-ups. We make this run up here, we pull back. We make this run up here, we pull back. We make this run up here, we had a deeper pullback and a nice base and a move. All right. So I thought maybe we're setting up for something here, and I wouldn't mind taking a position that kind of hangs around that position for a while before trying to make this move up that, I thought it might just happen to make. Wasn't the case with this stock at all. And so I took a position, I don't know, one of these days in here, somewhere in there. And it banged, couldn't get through, banged, couldn't get through. And when it made that move and couldn't get through that, I exited for a small gain right there and made that move back down there. So now my weekly chart, told me be quick to exit if you're not getting what you want, because on a weekly chart, this thing had been down for several weeks. And sorry, I'm trying to tie this all together where I was going with this all. And it seems to be a little more of a charting question versus a scanning question here. But I had already seen, a red week, a red week, a red week, a red week. And so last week I said to myself, all right, are we going to get that or are we going to get that? I took a position and decided within a couple of days that we were not getting that. That was the likely scenario. That's what happened. I'm still going to continue to watch this. This kind of boxed area here is a level of interest to me to find support and try to build back off of the support and make another run back up into the 30s. This is also tied to, the LIT, which we've seen just get absolutely hammered as well. And all right, let me rephrase that. Not absolutely hammered, but we've seen have a nice, pullback, and LTHM seems to pull back a little harder than this sector does itself. So level of interest, this kind of box in here, same thing here. So, and, go back to, this is where it starts the year, and here, oops, not a great line. That's a little better line. That's where we start the year on that. And, just like that, it could happen that we could pull right back into that real fast and see how much time it takes to make those moves up. So hopefully that kind of helps. If that's not answering your question there, Bullish Hunter, let me know. We dive back down on that again. Again, of course, anybody has questions, fire them away for me, please. Open forum. I'm just kind of droning on and babbling on right now because there's really no questions coming in. PC are more of an intraday play. GRTX. Oh, came from, I was like, I feel like I watched this one today for some reason. It came in Barry's option scanner. Whatever that wick was right there seemed to be, made it slightly past that and pulled right back down. So I don't see anything there, to be honest. I'm guessing some kind of news. I mean, that's crazy amount of volume, 103 times its relative volume. So I'm guessing they had some terrible news here, and they tried to put some kind of great spin on it today. That's what the chart says, anyways. I refuse to pull up the news, so I don't need it. Here's what I need. This chart tells me everything I need to know. And what does this chart tell me? First off, this is, unless you have some reason to believe in this company from research you're doing on their therapeutics, whatever it happens to be, if you're just trading a chart, this tells me you got a lot of topping tails and bottom tails. So be fast, just all through here. And the bigger the candle body, the bigger the tail it seems to be on a lot of these, with the exception of this one here. And that's what that tells me. And it also tells me we've got just this arcing pressure on this stock. So there's nothing now. And with that said, there's nothing to interest me in this. And this very well could I could wake up tomorrow and it could be at $10 again tomorrow. But it's not driven on charts. It's driven on news and whatever the company's doing. There's no edge on this chart to me whatsoever. So that's, there's really not a whole lot to that. Again, we could try to read things into this options volume here. All right. But also look at that short growth. I mean, that's not from here. That's probably from, well, actually, yeah, sorry, it's a weekly chart. So that might be from here, actually, going back, because that's going back to the end of October, it looks like. So you got quite a few people that are betting on this thing to lose. and it already had almost a 10% short float as we're reporting on it. So not a great looking chart. I'll say this. I mean, look, this volume won't just evaporate in the next few days. So let's just pretend for argument's sake that this wick from there and this candle body all of a sudden becomes some kind of support. We pull back into it and we move up, and we pull back into it and we move up. Then that gets me interested in the chart. And then we've got something moving up to there that might be nice to look at. But based on one day does not make a trend reversal. That's for sure. And the trend on this chart is long-term lower. And again, will I miss things because all of a sudden it's jumped way up on one day? Sure, but that's not trading. That's playing roulette or something. So what do we got? 416. 13 minutes and change before we wrap up today's session here. So again, if anybody has questions pertaining to anything, please go ahead and fire those away for me. I was going to mess around. All right, now I was going to mess around with something here. Let's go new and a top list. Window specific filter. Let's just get rid of all this stuff in here. Hide unused, and let's go with volume today. No, let's not even go with volume today. So I want to do a stock race with the post market. So post market change. Let's show that column and let's add that filter. Let's get rid of some of these other columns I don't care about. All right, that'll work. Search. All right, now let's go back to the window specific filter. So, all right, we got that. Let's go with some volume here. That's going to work in the post market. Volume. Let's go with 1 minute. Let's add that filter. Get some volume that's happening in the post market. What else should we look at here for this post market race? What are things we would look at in the post market? Let's sort on post market change percent. All right, we're just going to go with this and see what it looks like. We're filtering for almost nothing right now, but I'm curious. All right, so not even that much pops up on this thing right now. And we're set to live always. Yep, we're set to live always. All right, so these are things that have at least 3 times their normal 1 minute volume right now in the post market. There's your GRTX. So we can see there's not a whole lot of post-market action going on, to be honest, right now. We're going to go real-time stock race. And we're going to percent post-market change, server sort. We're going to go delta value. And see if there's any kind of edge here happening in the post-market with any of these things that have at least a little bit of volume in them. All right, and so because we're on a top list and that 30-second refresh, till we get to 30 seconds here, we won't see a car move. But I'm curious, I'll be honest, I haven't messed with this much. I'm not sure if or how I'll implement it in my trading. And I go back and forth between how this does or does not add value to my trading or not. But it's hard to know when I haven't really played with it much either. But all right, here we go. So now we can see, these are the ones that are having the biggest change in post market going on right now. All right. And we can go ahead and we be able to click any one of these symbols. All right. And bring that up and we can see what's happening here. We can go in properties, show post market here. And so we can see, some of these movements here that are going on. All right. And so there's our winner. All right. And so that's only going to be, bringing in the quote unquote cars or the stocks that are making the cut on this. And I put it up to 20 of them. So we could even, configure. We can get rid of this 1 minute volume. Now I only put that 1 minute volume in there to try to find stuff that is actually moving right now. But if we were to do this, so now we've got the biggest post market change here. I'm going to find a lot of these penny stocks. So look, this thing has changed in the post market 31,000%, but that's, because we're working at sub pennies. And again, bring up this race. Expand that out so we can get as many cars. I think we can have a maximum of 20 cars. And we're going to do post market changes. What we're based on. We're sorting on a delta value. And again, we'll run it for fun and just kind of see, where we're going. And so this is pulling in the top 20 post market change stocks right now on a percent basis. And so now we should get something moving. Nope. So none of these guys are now moving since we started this race here. So interesting. So it continues to tell us that there's really not much action going in the post market right now. All right. And that's with us not filtering for any kind of price level or anything like that. For example, I'm sure we could pull up a chart of Apple or something or Facebook, and they're trading plenty in the post market, but there's not a big change. So we can see just in this 1 minute that race ran that this is the only stock that had any movement in the post market at this time, based on just filtering for the biggest change to this point in the post market session. So, all right, it's another way to look at data, and very visual way to look at data. Again, how this is going to translate for me, I'm not sure, but there's some people that I've seen or there are emails from people that I've seen that are huge into what this is going to bring for them, they believe. And again, data interpretation. You have a stock race running all the time, like for the trading day. I guess, if we come into the configure of this thing here, runtime, I guess what's 390 minutes is the balance of the day, right? I don't see why you couldn't. And then, what would happen if you ran a race like that, in theory anyways, is you're going to see cars. Let's say you were running it on relative volume, for example, during the trading hours, and you'll see some cars that start to take off with the relative volume during the day, and they'll be leaders for a while. And then all of a sudden, if they lose momentum, that volume, you'll see them pull right back, and other cars that pick up volume will overtake them through the day too. So it'd be a constant movement of what's going where. Almost kind of leads me into a thought of, there's lots of people that keep asking, is there a way to get alerted when a new stock comes on and off your top list? Now, here's where there'll be the give and take with this. And, a lot of people run top lists that have like 500 symbols coming in, which first off, I don't understand, because there's no possible way a human being during a trading session can go through 500 symbols. So that doesn't make any sense to me anyways, but everybody pays for their subscription. So however they want to run things is completely up to them. But let's say now we took by the server sort the top 20 stocks based on that, what we're filtering on. So we're filtering for a bunch of stocks. Now we're taking the top 20 based on that sort of the filter, and then we're running it all day. And you could literally see what stocks moving up and what stocks pulling back. And that would be a way to say which stocks are moving up and down the list, but a much more visual way of looking at which stocks are on the list. And now that I'm going to have to run a stock race tomorrow all day long like this, Dan. Dan, you're always giving me stuff to do, and I like it. That's interesting. I'm going to run that tomorrow. I'm going to run something tomorrow like that. So it's just kind of funny that the ones that have made the biggest post-market change today are all these, well, most of them it seems to be, are these penny stocks. One's one stock over $10, I think that's it. Or two stocks under over $10. And even this, I think the volume is now, yeah, the volume started to dry up in this even. So some more food for thought here that I'll kick around. Because we're just as much as other people or users trying to figure out how these stock races are going to translate to making money. They're really neat. They're cool looking, all that great stuff like that. But how does that translate to making money? That might be one of those things that people want to look at there, Dan. So, all right, where are we? We're at 427. All right, I'm going to start to take last call for questions at the moment here. As always, I think, everybody that came in and interacting, quieter day today. Hopefully, hopefully you all got something out of this, some food for thought, if nothing else. I do this every day at 3:30 Eastern. I start the stream then, go to about 4:30 each day. As mentioned at the beginning of this session, Barry opens a stream every morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. He runs it till noon, like a trader's room. And when I say trader's room, don't interpret that as, he's telling people what to buy, sell, hold, or do. He's just talking about things that he's looking at, sharing scans, going over charts, stuff that's interesting to him. Noon, he gives up the stream on this side for an hour for a Q&A similar to this. And when I say on this side, it's because he streams from two sides. He does not give up the other sides, the stream on the other side. And then he shuts down at 3, and I reopen at 3:30 every day. Coding error, Barry Chris. What happened with Holly Aggressive today? 3 billion profit. Oh, yeah, I touched on that at the beginning. There is some logic in how this all gets done, and this, what stock was it? TMX somehow had an entry and a stop at the same price, and I think it might have been Peter, someone like that said, dividing by 0 causing craziness. And I was actually thought that I don't know if that was it. I was given, I'm the one that filed a bug report with it. And, I get, whenever I file bug reports on things, I get the updates on them. And so whatever the logic was that's behind it, which I don't understand coding language, was identified. I don't know if it's been specifically addressed or how that works, but apparently it's something that could have happened in the past. It hasn't happened in the past that I'm aware of, or if it did, it wasn't to this extent. And so they're doing whatever they do under the hood with Holly to fix that. So yeah, you're welcome, Tracy. That's what I'm here for. I just, like I said, I know I kind of drone on and babble sometimes, but that's what you get. So I'm glad you found it informative. I appreciate the feedback. It helps me anyways. So, all right, guys, guys and gals, I'm going to shut down the stream for the day. Um, Again, I'll be back here 3:30 Eastern. So, come please join every day. Open forum, whatever your questions are, fire them away. We're gonna get them answered for you one way or the other. So I thank you all for joining, and I will catch you all tomorrow, Wednesday. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening. Appreciate it. Take care, and bye bye, everybody.